Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Product, where we talk about running our small business and how we make things work and sometimes not.
Exactly. I would say most of the time not work. But hey,
Exactly.
we're gonna get into talking about this episode, episode 2. We're in business,
We are in business.
and we're if you missed episode 1, make sure you check that out. But we're gonna be talking about the viral video that kind of when we woke up in the middle of the night. We're gonna be telling that story, how that video went viral.
Yep.
We got all of those orders, and now we had to figure out what do we do now. How we made social media part of our strategy, part of the marketing strategy. Not having a marketing strategy
Correct.
is when we started things out. So let's get into it. Let's get a little more in
Are
depth.
we going to also talk about the haters?
Oh yeah, I mean you can't be on social media without the haters. So we'll give them credit. We'll probably give them a round of applause before it's over with.
Haters, thank you for making those comments.
Yeah, haters, thank you for bringing us to where we're at. We'll see you around the bend, I guess. Not sure what to
Up
say.
around the bend.
All right, let's get into it. Beyond the product, we're in business, Miranda.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
let's
I
do
think
it.
I think our last episode we had got to the point where we were selling rocket stoves. We were selling a few smokers. Um, but I want to talk about the night when the phone started going off, and I thought we had got hacked.
Yes.
And
It's the phone going off as in little cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching of orders.
of orders coming in. So you have to understand that was new
Yeah.
for us. We'd go a week.
That level for sure.
Yeah, we'd go a week, and you would get a little cha-ching, and it's like, oh, we made a sale, yay!
Yeah.
Or I say a week, we'd go weeks sometimes. And it was all because of that viral video.
Right.
We talked about the viral video on the last episode, but what I wanted to talk about was how many videos it took before we had that first viral video. And I counted out as 137 videos.
There you go. So if you are making videos and marketing your product, know that it could take several videos before
But I think it was more
things
than
happen.
I think it was more than that because we didn't know like we would erase videos. Like we would make a video.
Yeah, we like, oh man, this video isn't going anywhere. It's got like 30 views.
Yep.
Just delete that one. They don't like it.
Yeah, nobody likes that video. Just delete that video. So there were other videos too. So it was probably more than that. But it took a lot. I mean, it took a lot of content before we had that first one go out. And keep in mind, the first one to go out was a very negative video. It was a lot of people telling me how much I don't know, how much they know, how much better they are than I am.
But that still happens, so
Oh, that happens every day, but
it's okay.
still, it's even with that negative content. How many orders did we get that night?
It was like probably 100.
Yeah, it was like 100 rocket stoves we sold in one.
I
It
could go
was
back
more than
and
that.
look.
Yeah, it was more. It was closer to
Be
like
more
100.
specific.
Yeah, it was closer to about 150 sales.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're in business, baby. Let's
Yes.
get it. But I 100%. That's when it changed. It changed for a lot of reasons. One was now we had a little bit of a cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
So now we realized, okay, now we got to order more material.
Right.
Because our material was we basically ordered what we needed. We didn't carry a stock of material.
No.
We carried a few things
We
in
didn't
the
have
shop.
any like working capital
No.
to just order
No.
tons of plate steel and bundles of tubing. That
Right.
wasn't going to happen.
So even for like farm, we kept a few things, angle iron, like 2x2 by quarter angle. some squares. Like we had a few things that we kept in stock, but it was not.
Yeah.
It was just a few pieces here and there for like repairs or when something came up. So now we had this influx of money that came in from these orders, and now we had to fulfill these orders, and it was scary for sure.
Yeah, it was scary. And then, so I think originally our lead time on our website was only like maybe a week.
Yep.
And then we realized when we got all those orders that we would have to notify everybody and let them know, like, it's going to be a little bit longer than a week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we went after it for sure.
Oh, we did. We were up late at night, pumping out orders on the weekends, shipping.
And I mean, I'm cutting rocket stove out with cutoff wheels at that point, and we had hired. We would get some help to come in, but we were cutting. I mean, I remember Brady when Brady he came out here, and we did 60 rocket stove bodies, all with grinders and cutoff wheels.
Wow.
So I mean, the Ellis bandsaw became an important tool.
Ellis bandsaw was like the most valuable tool.
Used tool that
yeah, the most used tool. Yeah, it was amazing how much that saw would run 8 to 10 hours a day.
Yep, kids go to school. We're in the shop all day trying to build, and at that time, I'm building all the parts. So we're
There's
building.
Just one kid going to school at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were pregnant.
Yeah, and then
You had Austin.
Yeah.
I remember you'd be running the table.
So
with Austin.
I would like strap in our middle child, and I'd hold him and put headphones on him and run the table, clean parts if I had to. I mean, anything that we could do. And then when he would take a nap, I'd have the camera set up so I could watch him when I was in the shop. I'd know when he'd wake up, and it was a lot of back and forth, but we really used the time we had like to knock it out.
Right. Well, we got to and then we also got to the point where we had to stop orders.
Yeah.
And that was terrible because we had to stop orders to get caught up on orders, and then we got caught up on orders. And once we got caught up on orders, we had lost the momentum.
Right, and then we kind of did a roller coaster.
It was like, there's nothing happening, but we had gotten so busy that we quit making videos.
Well, we quit promoting them. We were still just videoing us like working. You know, our video wasn't as creative, but we were definitely videoing.
Well, it was after the second run because we had another video go viral.
Right.
The same thing happened.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, the exact same scenario happened like 2 months later.
Mm-hmm.
We shut orders down again.
Yeah.
And then the exact same thing happened. It was the momentum. And then that's whenever we had made that, I had made the strategy of, we are not going to stop posting content just because we're so busy in the shop.
Right.
We were going to prioritize. We had to keep sales coming. We couldn't just do a big influx, shut everything down, fill orders, and then try to do it again. It was the original idea of like, we just get some orders in, we fulfill them, and then we open it back up. And there was no consistency. The cash flow was terrible doing it that way because by the time you were ready to open it back up, you're out of money, and you were like, oh gosh, we need to make sales again, and we couldn't make sales. So now the strategy came into place, and that was we're going to post 3 to 4 videos a day. That's when you had ordered me the light, the circle light. What they called it?
The ring light.
The ring light. You ordered a ring light.
You know how many ring lights we went through? A welding shop, fabrication shop is not a great place for a ring light.
No.
I mean, they would fall over, crack, and they're so cheap, but we knew we didn't want to buy an expensive one because we just knew it was going to get tore up.
And that's
the ring light came into play. Microphones kind of started. Those were a little later.
But so the ring light, and then I would just put my phone on the ring light. So if I was building rocket stoves, I would set my phone up, and I would just go and hit record.
Yeah.
And I would go, and then I could come back at night, and I could clip clip those videos and create create a video out of those clips.
Right.
It was, I don't want to say it was easier back then, but it was a little bit easier. Short form content,
It was easier
short
than
form
it is now.
content
Yeah.
allowed us to promote our business, and adding being able to add the audio made the videos. And as time progressed, we got a little better at the editing, a little bit better at knowing what was trending,
Yeah.
and kind of started staying.
Well, there was a point where we realized like doing the little silly trends, finding trends was important because it meant that you got out to a new crowd of people.
Yep.
Because if you were constantly just posting about welding and fabrication, you only hit those people that wanted to know about welding and fabrication, but they weren't necessarily going to buy your product. So we definitely had to like get out to the new crowd by doing trends and silly things, but definitely helped. Nowadays it's definitely different. It's not as easy. You can still do them, but it's more saturated maybe than I don't
Yeah.
know.
And now we try to have. I mean, now it is fun, and we're so used to it now as part of the game. But
Yeah.
when we first started it, and we were going through that, realizing that we had to be consistent, so that we didn't have to shut orders down, keep a cash flow kind of steady, so that we didn't get into that crazy roller coaster of when you're at
Right.
the bottom.
Right.
Um, Getting the ring light, being consistent on those videos, all of that stuff helped with our social media content, and we didn't really get in that situation again.
Right. Well, we realized that if we posted consistently on our products and we were able to hire employees, so then we really learned like, okay, well, I think if we really push these stoves and we were using them too. I mean, we were cooking on them, so we're like, we're going to do a video on them and then those videos will go out. So we're like, okay, let's just really hire on let's try to hire on some people so we can still keep pushing them, but we can still keep up with the orders and do like what we knew was super important to sell the product was doing the content.
Mm-hmm.
But we couldn't necessarily do all the well, we could do all the content and weld a whole bunch of stoves, but you can only weld so many stoves at one time.
Yeah, but
The
sweetie, I mean,
bandsaw could only cut so many rocket stoves a day, and then that got to a point where the
right.
the bandsaw couldn't keep up. Like we were selling more than the bandsaw could cut in a day, and that's when we were like, okay, we got to change some things. And you were
But
still.
that didn't really happen for like. I mean, that's
I mean, I guess we're jumping. I don't know.
well, yeah, because I
Jumping
mean,
around.
yeah, you're talking like it is how it's been the last year and a half or so. Yeah, but for the longest part, it was the bandsaw was how we did it in the plasma table for
Well,
many
yeah,
years,
but we
and
didn't
we
even talk about the plasma table yet because you were still on the cutoff wheel. Then we figured out how to set up a jig on the plasma table, cut out a section, bring it back to the bandsaw, and cut another piece. It worked. It was faster, but
definitely, definitely a learning curve.
yeah, it was faster. It was what we could do at that time. I think in our mind, like outsourcing to a tube laser. Like, are you serious? We can't do that. But we had to eventually. That's way later on.
Way later, but where we were at in that time frame, I think the point that I was trying to express was the social media side that
Yeah.
um, being being consistent is what allowed us to continue selling the product
Right.
and having fun making the content, because it did become fun
It
making.
was fun.
Yeah,
It
and
is fun.
the tools came along. Like Miranda's saying, the tools would come along. We would figure out how to improve it, because we went from a small, like, little job shop. And when I mean small job shop,
Very
I mean
small.
small job shop.
20 by 30.
Well, just on the projects.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we're talking about handrails, and an attachment for a farmer, some steps for a
Right.
farmer, or
Yeah.
different, just small little jobs the smokers were one thing, the fire pits were another thing on the CNC plasma table,
Mm-hmm.
and then the product was the rocket stove that really changed it.
Yep.
And what's crazy, I would beat my head against the wall. When we speak of the product, like I would walk around just trying to invent something. It's like,
Yeah, he
what
would.
can I invent?
He'd be stir crazy for sure.
I need to invent something. Um, but I mean, I had a lot of influence too. Like I think of Jason with Fireball Tools.
Yeah, you would stay up watching him late into the night.
Yeah, and one of his another influence I had was speaking of tools was like Swag Off Road,
Right.
and I realized they weren't reinventing the wheel. They were making a product that was already there. Like you think of Jason with Fireball Tools. I mean, he's making a square. How long have squares been around? But what did
Right.
he do?
Made it
He made
better.
them better.
Right.
And I'm like, um, I think of like Swag Off Road with their little kits,
Mm-hmm.
that Harbor Freight tube and roller kit.
Right.
That I'm like, they took a product and made something that made that product better.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. Um, I don't know. I started taking that approach or that mentality or looking at things a little different. Like, yeah, I'm not inventing something here, but man, what can make this better? And the rocket stove thing kind of fumbled upon us accidentally because I mean, rocket stoves were everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, these are so cool.
Right.
Everyone was building them pipe on pipe, I call it, and uh, when you first light one up, they were so exciting. It's like, look at this.
Mm-hmm.
And then after about 5 minutes, they kind of start clogging up with ash.
Yeah, and then you have to dump over a hot stove to get the ash out, which
Yeah, they were just
that wasn't very
they weren't
friendly.
yeah, the idea was there, but they weren't thought out, I think, to that scale.
Right.
And I said, well, how can I improve this? And one way to improve it was put the ash pan, a coal grate.
And then like the back burn into the feed
Yeah, the
tube.
fuel door really helped it
Yeah,
with
you
that
could
problem.
shut that off.
You could
Yeah.
shut that off. And then I wanted to put it behind the four-wheeler. And I was like, I need a base that's collapsible. So we came up with a collapsible base. But I was really overcomplicating things, like trying to like, what's the next big thing? What's the
Right.
next invention? What hasn't been invented yet? And that's an impossible for
Seems
me.
impossible.
It's impossible because
Yeah.
what has not been invented yet?
I'm not going to tell you.
Like I wanted to have this big like breakthrough thing, but what like if you think about like the fire pits and cooking with fire concept, I'd say in the last years the only thing that has been innovative, a product that was made that changed it from the norm would be pellet smokers, you know, and
Right.
that was an innovative idea, an innovative product, and the
Smokeless fire pits.
smokeless fire pits. Yeah,
Yeah.
those were two innovations that changed the norm.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, now there's tons of brands that makes pellet smokers, and there's a lot of brands now that are making the smokeless fire pits. But it changed the norm. Everyone just made fire pits. You just roll the ring, or you weld some panels together. You could add a little flair to it by cutting out someone's
Yeah.
logo or a deer head or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
everyone was doing it. Everyone is doing that, was doing that, is still doing that. And it's like, how do you stand out from the rest? And we're coming back to social media,
Social media.
marketing. And for us, that's what it was. I mean, wouldn't you agree? Like
Yes.
that's I don't
Social media put us on the map for sure. Not that we're still a very tiny dot on the map.
we're still
but
tiny. Yeah, I understand that.
but we are out there, a little more than some.
Because of social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I always stress, people always ask me, well, what could I do? What could I do? Um, and that was my biggest advice was
Mhm.
look into marketing.
Right.
Um, because it's what helped us. It was organic, but it
We post more than once a week too. I mean, you were posting 3 to 4 times a day, which was more than the average. I remember Gary V back a long time ago when we first started TikTok. He's like, if you're not posting, at that time, I
I
think
think
it
he
was like 3 to 4 times.
I
But
think he still
now,
says that to this
now
day.
I think he says like, if you're not posting 20 times a day, which we're not, but but
No, it's definitely it's a full
exposure.
yeah, 100%.
I mean,
You have to put in the effort and make the
if we're
effort.
annoying, just block us. I mean, it's
Well, you don't have to block us, but
yeah. No,
yeah, I think people are in control of their feed, but I think people
right,
also forget. So sometimes you just have to stay active. You have to stay in front of
right,
them
right.
and keep going. And that's going to bring us into the content strategy, or we're talking about the content strategy. And one of the things I noticed right away was a lot of our followers in the beginning were other fabrication shops and other welders.
Yeah.
They were kind of seeing the tools that I had. They were offering advice. They were offering tips. A lot of them were telling me how stupid I was.
Right.
Um, uh, that, but I still said no. I have to post. I have to
Yeah.
post.
We're
We
out.
saw these results, right?
We're always going to get a little, some negative because we're out there. We're in the public. We're doing it. We're out in front of people. We're just kind of asking for it in a
Yeah.
sense. I mean, not
Yep.
in a, it's not like we're doing anything horrible on
Right.
social media. We are just sharing our small business journey and we have a little fun with it.
Yep.
Like, what about that character?
Um, we'll get to that old character. We can go into that now, but welders and other fabrication shops weren't buying our product, and that's when our content changed. Because
Mhm.
our content started off as
Tips and
DIY,
tricks and
yeah,
DIY and yeah.
in the welding shop, building things, and that's when it started. The content started changing. We started to add humor to it.
And more relatable because we are a husband and wife team that
Right.
run a business together. So there, of course, there's other husband and wife teams that work together and run a business together. So just having little funny skits and making things relatable, people
Well,
can get it.
so like if we were cutting out a custom sign that says "Welcome," welcome to my home. How do you get that person to watch a video with "Welcome to my home" sign in it? And it was usually a husband and wife skit because that's who would see it.
Right.
They would see a skit that we were doing in the shop that was husband and wife relatable, and maybe the wife or the husband would say, "Oh, I would like one of those signs
Mm-hmm.
in my house." The Skippy you were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
that's how Skippy came around because I think everybody has a Skippy in their shop,
Or
and
have known one. They've
I,
known one at some point.
I think everyone has a Skippy in their shop. Every shop I've ever worked for in my life has a Skippy in that shop. Um,
Maybe.
no, I'm telling you,
Maybe.
y'all leave some comments down below and let us know if there's a Skippy in your shop because there's definitely a Skippy in everyone's shop, and I think that's why Skippy was very relatable because I think
People want more
people,
Skippy. I
yeah, people
mean,
want more Skippy.
Skippy's a trip.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give him a call and see what he's up to. He's had a
He's
lot of.
needs that TikTok money
He needs that TikTok money,
or
old Skippy.
whatever.
But adding comedy, adding that stuff to our content, along with the DIY stuff, along with the tips, along with the new tools, it kind of just helped us create a variety of people that enjoyed our content.
Hmm.
Some people enjoy our content for one reason, they hate the other stuff. Some people love the funny skit videos or the cheesy skit videos, and they hate the fabrication stuff. But we've kind of tried to develop a variety.
Yeah, a wide range of content.
try to come up with some sort of a consistency to it, but it is getting harder.
Yeah.
It is getting harder as it goes, but we're trying to get better at it,
Yeah.
get a better system in place, and
Hmm.
it's just like building things in the shop.
And content does change. The more you grow in your business, the more employees you have, content is going to change from when it was just us two or us and a couple other employees. But well, we're trying to show all parts of it, and I think it might be fun to watch sometimes.
Yeah, we hope it is. It's it's been, if anything, so far on this journey, it's been very humbling.
Yeah.
You know, I think of like the job shop that we were at, still trying to figure that part out when the product thing came around, and then now, I mean, our shop has really turned more into like a little manufacturing shop because we're doing
Hmm.
the same things over and over and over and over again. We're adding products as it goes, but that's also been a
Yeah.
challenge.
And we're still learning to balance. Like we do a few one-off jobs here and there, and it's kind of balancing it, and we're starting to realize
Right.
we got to get a better system in place for that. But or do we just not do that and just strictly do our products? So we're evolving as it goes. But like signs, we did signs for quite a while until most recently this last summer. We had to put a pause to them, but it was just more of a we got busy with more of our products like the rocket stove. I can't talk. The rocket stoves, those became very popular, and it was kind of like, do we pursue the signs anymore, or do we just stick with the rocket stoves, get them done, get a faster fulfilling time? And that's what we did. But hopefully, we can launch those back again.
Well, it was really hard to. Um, we were too small and definitely too inexperienced because we would develop a system or a process, and then we would throw in another product, and then
Mm-hmm.
it would throw the whole system and the whole process off because now there's another product on the line. And so you'd have to develop a system and a process that worked with this system and process so you can get both of those products to kind of
Right.
meet it at the end of it. Um, so that's a challenge because people reach out to us all the time and they're like, "Can you build this? Can you build that? Can you build this?" Technically, the answer is
Yes.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
can build that. I've got a laser table. I've got press brakes. I've got
Mm-hmm.
welding machines. Absolutely. I can draw that up in SolidWorks. Yes, we could
I
build that.
remember there was a video we did. I'm carrying the scrap bucket out, and it was, can you get me something so that I don't have to carry these bucket of scrap everywhere? And we got
Oh, the
that
new tool video. Yeah, yeah.
the dump, the dump.
The dump. Yep.
Yeah. And I remember all the comments, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're a fabrication shop. You could have just built that so fast. Like, why did you even get that? And like, people were just so
Yeah.
negative about it. And it's like, you don't realize that people don't really understand how hard it is when you're building products every single day over and over and over. And then you try to throw in, we're going to build a scrap steel
Right. Well,
dump.
when you're because we're fulfilling orders.
Right.
It's not like, okay, guys, stop fulfilling orders. You
Yeah,
know.
that's what I'm saying. Like
And then
it
I think
wasn't something we could just
it's a misunderstanding of our size too. Like
right.
we're not large enough
Right.
to do those things. You know, when I think of scaling and the size of things, like the epitome, someone we met a long time ago, like John King with JK Welding,
Right.
he doesn't do products and he doesn't do the same thing over and over. He started in his garage, and he is like the epitome of, he's the guy that takes on custom jobs.
Yeah, big jobs.
And that was our goal for a long time. I remember meeting him at FabTech, and it's like, man, I'd love to do what you're doing. And the first time we met him at FabTech, we had rocket stove videos like that was a product.
Mhm.
but we were still thinking along the lines of him, of what he was doing, and like that's where we were gonna head.
Right.
Because we've even gotten busier since then. But like, if you haven't checked out John King with J.K. Welding, you should check him out because
Yeah.
I mean he's like the goal, like I call it the epitome of a job shop scaling.
Mhm.
Um, he's taking it to that level because he doesn't build the same thing over and over.
Right.
Imagine every day showing up to work.
They may be welding and fabricating, but they are a totally different side of the welding and fabricating.
Well, yeah, I mean they're a job shop,
Right.
right?
I
Yeah.
mean, our team welds, but
Oh yeah, but we're doing the same thing over and over. We're
right.
like
That's what I'm saying.
manufacturing,
There's
and we're
different.
manufacturing, a very small niche product, like
Right.
compared to where he's at. But it's where we're at, and it's where we're going. Our shop is getting more and more into manufacturing. We want to get more and more into a smoker line, but kind of stepping away from like custom smokers and more into a production smoker
Right.
that's heavy duty, fully welded, 100% USA made. Because right now our hoppers are imports that we get from Pellet Pro.
Right.
So we build a pellet smoker now, but our hoppers are imports from Pellet Pro. They're great hoppers. Pellet Pro stands behind them. Pellet Pro,
Yeah. Pellet Pro's out of Illinois.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. But the bodies,
Right.
not the controller itself, but the bodies are imports.
Right.
And we do want to get to where we're US, 100% US manufacturing. That was a goal of ours. Can we achieve that goal? I think we can. Is it going to be difficult? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, but we're gonna try.
Yeah.
We'll do. We'll do. We're gonna try our best and do our best at reaching that goal. Um, but now it's time to talk about the hate that we get.
Oh, let's go.
Uh, man. So
Mhm.
if you're listening to us right now and you're kind of hearing this story, I know it sounds all exciting, but I really want to emphasize this, especially the mental side of dealing with
Yeah. The mental
going to
side of
social media and understanding that the majority of people out there are going to like what you're doing and appreciate what you're doing, but there's a lot of people also that are gonna talk you down, and I mean,
yeah, it can be pretty hateful. Trust me, I get told to go to the kitchen in every other video and that I should not be in the shop. But
no, and I'll be honest, there were times where, I mean, I'm up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning reading comments and
yeah, it can there's some pretty hateful people out there.
just
But
bring you down, man. Just bring you down. Not so, like it makes you. It would make me overemphasize my faults, and my faults were pretty simple. I grew up extremely poor in South Louisiana, so I had no backing. Um, I had no backing in terms of like I couldn't call mom or say, "Hey, mom, the
right.
business ain't going good,"
Hey mom, people are hating on me.
Yeah.
No.
Uh,
There's definitely those little keyboard warriors out there.
and um, I'm uneducated. I'm not educated, and so I talk funny. I can hardly write. And people would see that even when I would write descriptions on stuff like that, they call you out on the way I would spell or the way I
You
talked
wrote the
or
wrong your.
yeah, I misspelled
It's
your.
YOU apostrophe RE,
Yeah.
Jason. Get it right.
But it was just there was a lot of hate. I mean, a lot of positive stuff too. Don't get me wrong, but why? I definitely in the beginning at that time, I definitely the hate comments were the ones that got to me the most, and they definitely I would say the things that were the most negative for my mental and affected the day to day operations were the negative comments would get to me, or I let them get to me, and worried about the competition. Worrying about Joe Blow down the street building rocket
Right.
stoves,
Yeah.
and I learned pretty quick I couldn't. Like you can't. It's
You
hard not
can't.
to.
You can waste a lot of your mental energy on negative comments if you let yourself. But we've gotten a lot better. I mean, we've been doing social media for 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, five,
And
yeah, 6 years.
yeah, we start to just, I mean, a lot of times it's like, do we not make it clear about something that they must be new here? But, you know, I get plenty of hate on there. I don't belong in that shop, okay?
Yeah,
How could I
and
possibly know my way around that shop?
right. I don't think I can't really say everything, but
No.
I mean, it's something to think about. If you're listening to this and you're in a position where you are starting something out, you are starting a shop out, or you're starting a small business, whatever you're doing, and social media should be part of your strategy. Um, it goes a little bit beyond like, oh, I'm just gonna post every day. You do have to start.
You have to give some value in your content.
Yeah, try to add a little value. And remember when I say add value, sometimes it's the simplest thing. And understand that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to let you know how much better they are than you,
Hmm.
and they could do it way better. They don't have time to do it, because they're busy on their yacht or something like that,
Yeah.
or they're you're gonna deal with that. You're gonna get that, and you're gonna get people that are gonna say mean things to you. People are gonna hurt your feelings. Um, but just try to work through it and don't let it get to you.
No,
So
just keep posting and posting.
one of the mistakes I used to do was if someone left a hateful comment, I would respond to it, and I learned pretty quick that it brought negative vibes to the channel. It 100% did,
Hmm.
because I wanted to argue with that person. And what was the point of arguing? It was going to lead to nothing, it was going to get nowhere. And we soon figured out that a lot of times those negative comments helped push the content out even further.
Right.
And it
Give
seemed to
us
do
some
better.
no.
It seemed to do better when we didn't
Yeah.
respond to them.
Well, it hit more people that didn't know who we were.
Hmm.
We found most of the negative comments came from people that are new to our channel, and you
Yeah.
could tell. And now we have a great community on our
Yeah, I
pages
feel
that
like we have a great
we
community.
usually don't
Yeah.
have to comment at all, and our community of followers
Yeah.
kind of let them know. But we like keeping our page clean and fun, and we're all about
Yeah.
just
The hate's out there. There's a lot of negative stuff going on in the world. And we it it was no value to me to waste time
no.
trying to justify what I'm trying to do to people that had really didn't care about what I was doing.
Hmm.
So if we focus more on making sure our orders are fulfilled, making sure our customers are happy,
Yep.
and continuing to grow our business is the main focus, the main
Yep.
goal here.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap up the podcast for today
Yeah,
episode.
guys, episode 2. We are in business.
Yeah.
We're in business. Thank you again for being here. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Chiasson Smoke out of Blue River, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
They've sponsored this entire podcast, so give them a big shout out. Make sure you reach out to them and let them know that you appreciate
Yep.
them
And
sponsoring
also,
this podcast.
thank you to the viewers that watched our first episode on YouTube. We appreciate the feedback and the comments we got, and we are excited to keep this going. And
Yep. So this is episode 2. Episode 3, I think we would like to talk about when we started deciding reinvesting back into the business. We didn't have enough money the first few years to put back into the business. We could barely pay ourselves.
Well, we
But
put everything back
we
into
put
the
everything back
business,
into it. But
actually.
getting to the point where it was like, you know what? Maybe it's time for a laser table. Maybe it's time for a press brake.
Better, efficient tools.
Yeah, better tooling. Get a little more efficient. Kind of changing the game. So next episode, stay tuned for episode 3. That'll be out in another week or so, and we're gonna just discuss about when we started deciding like, okay, it's time to start investing into the business. So make sure you subscribe. Uh, Leave a review if you don't mind. Share with someone you think that it might help. This is going to be a long series here, Beyond the Product, basically talking about what it takes after beyond just the product. Yeah.
All right.
So someone needs a good laugh, maybe a little inspiration. Share it. Let them know about it. Again,
Yep.
thanks our sponsors, Chiasson Smoke.
Yeah. Thank y'all for listening, and we'll see you next week.